YTBC, what's the deal? So I just want to give my opinion on, I see a lot of channels are talking about Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless and talking about the show First Take and talking about how it's ironic that, Monday First Take didn't talk about anything from the weekend. That's one thing you can say. When I was watching the show, it looked like they were talking about the NFL the whole time. They didn't cover anything except the NFL on Monday. So I will say I didn't see no NBA stuff. Maybe I didn't catch it, but only thing I saw was NFL stuff, and they're talking about the Cam Newton situation, which they're overblowing, man. Like, let these athletes have fucking personalities and charisma, man. Like, if you don't want Cam Newton dancing in the end zone, stop him. This is ridiculous, man. It reminds me just of different situations. I remember, there were certain coaches that were known for running up the score in college football, Spurrier, and just different. It's just, if you don't want people to score on you, man, stop them. So they made that a big story about Cam Newton, and which was bullshit, but they talked about the NFL, so that they didn't talk about Ronda Rousey getting knocked out against Holly Holm. So I was like, damn, why aren't they talking about that? I was kind of surprised they wasn't going to talk about it since it was blowing up, in the sports world. So, but what we got to remember then today, they finally said something about it, but Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless were not on the show today. They had the day off, and so was the host. So we didn't get to hear them talk about it yet. What we got to remember is this. I know a lot of brothers, they hate Stephen A. Smith, and they hate Skip Bayless too. But one thing I will say is this. You got to remember, man, these dudes have bosses. You know what I mean? It's not like they get to walk up in ESPN and say, look, this is what we talking about today. No, these guys have meetings every morning. They actually talked about this in depth. I've seen in an interview about how the show is ran and how they have a meeting with 11, 10 other people to, talk about, to just go over what they're going to talk about, make, notes to themselves. A lot of times, some of the topics, either Stephen A. or Skip Bayless, they don't even want to talk about the topics half the time. You can watch during an episode, sometimes they'll bring up a topic and you can see Stephen A. Smith roll his eyes like, man, why do we have to talk about this topic? Or there'll be some topics he doesn't have a lot to say on the topic because he doesn't want to talk about it. Same with Skip Bayless. So some of these topics, they don't even want to talk about the motherfuckers. So what I will say is this, I did want to hear them talk about it because they were helping hype this Ronda Rousey situation. And to tell you the truth, I think Stephen A. would have went off on it. So I really think, I don't think he would have held back on her. I think Skip Bayless might have been, sentimental about it a little bit, but he would have went off on her a little bit too. This chick isn't perfect, and we all know this with her domestic violence situation with her boyfriend. And then the, her bringing up Floyd Mayweather and, people in her that know her a little bit outside of the octagon saying she's really rude and this, that, and the third about her. So, and for me as just watching athletes, none of these athletes are perfect, man. But what I will say about, First Take is they did help with the, with the hype train of her. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we do want to hear Stephen A. Smith and what Skip Bayless have to say. But what you guys got to remember also, no matter what sport it is, who's bringing us the news, who's conveying the information to us as fans, we're so passionate. We're never going to be satisfied with what they're telling us on TV, what the media is telling us. It could be former players who are in the media and we'll still get pissed off about what they say. For instance, when I want to catch up with my NFL, I go to the NFL Network. I'll watch the NFL live show because they got Ditka on there and, Shannon Sharp, and they got different players, Tom Jackson. They got different guys on there. But I like to go to the NFL Network where it's all NFL guys. You got Prime Time on there and Coach Cowser. I mean, you got Coach Coward, and you got, Michael Irvin and LaDainian Thompson. So you have guys on there, Hall of Fame guys, telling you about the game. And there's sometimes I disagree with Michael Irvin about what he's saying. I never played it down in the NFL, but I just disagree about what he's saying sometimes about a defensive package or what I think the receivers should do is like, then they shouldn't, I disagree with them sometimes, so so if I disagree with people who played in the sport, it's like when I watch the NBA. If I want to catch my NBA news, I don't sit around and just wait to hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say. I go to the NBA TV, listen to Isaiah Thomas and Steve Smith and Grant Hill. I listen to them guys. And same thing happens with that. Sometimes I disagree with them about certain topics. Like I was watching an episode of Open Court on NBA TV, and Isaiah Thomas, in his opinion, he doesn't think that Magic Johnson would be a successful point guard in today's game. This is what he said. Isaiah Thomas, Hall of Famer, 2-time NBA champion, gold medal. That's what he said. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you don't think Magic Johnson could be successful in today's game if he was a point guard? And he broke down why. He was saying that guys are too hard for him to defend nowadays. And there was guard back then that was hard. That Magic had a hard time defending. Kevin Johnson was a guy that he couldn't stay in front of. But I was thinking to myself, like, man, I think Isaiah's kind of off base a little bit. But of course, Isaiah himself thinks he could play in today's game, but Magic couldn't, so I disagree with him. So what I'm saying is this, man, whether you're football, basketball, NBA, we're never going to be happy with what ESPN, any of these news outlets, media, websites, papers, magazines, we're never going to agree with them wholeheartedly because we're sports fans. Doesn't matter who's bringing us the news. It could be a fucking Hall of Famer, world champion, a 2-time, 3-time, 4-time MVP of a league. We're still going to disagree with people. So Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless didn't talk about it. Oh, fucking well, man. Like, what is there really to say? The bitch got knocked the fuck out. They try to hype her up to be this, super female athlete, somebody we've never seen before. And I remember, a few years ago, if we want to really hype a female athlete up, I was thinking about Brittany Griner. If we're really trying to say a female, they can compete with men in certain sports. It's like, I thought the closest thing I've seen, maybe Serena Williams with tennis, but I don't follow it as hard. But I was like, Brittany Griner is the first female I've seen that can grab a basketball and drop step dunk on people with 2 hands. Like, I've never, ever, ever seen that. So for me, there's other female athletes we can choose to put in Ronda Rousey's spot as far as this, super female athlete. I think Brittany Griner is a great candidate, just for from just some of the physical things she can do with being 6'8", a good help side shot blocker, and she could block shots. When you try to post her up, she just block your shot right there or come help side. But I'm going kind of off, and talking about other female athletes. But yeah, man, ESPN First Take didn't talk about it. I guess people want to see that, they want to see this bitch get buried under the dirt, you know what I'm saying? Because ESPN has buried a lot of athletes under the dirt, but she lost. It's not like it's a scandal. It's not like it's a sex scandal or, she committed a crime or, people ready to see her get fucking buried. It's like the bitch just lost the fight, man. Like, what more else do you want ESPN to do? Like, they showed her getting beat right when it happened. It was all over. They had guys from the UFC talking about it on ESPN. Like, they broke it down, but people really want to see her get buried, which is fine. I'm not here to, play Captain Save 'em. If you want to, you want to see the broad get buried, oh well. But it is what it is, y'all. I'm just kicking it with y'all, man. YTBC, I'm out.